What's up, guys? Neil Orfield here, and I'm going to show you how I will be setting up my fantasy cruncher for tonight's single game slate between the Bills and the Patriots. I'll be setting up for the largest field GPP on FanDuel here. First thing I'm going to do is rearrange my columns. I've got a quick view saved, so the columns I want to see the most are going to be in the middle of my screen, those being ownership projections, exposure caps, etc. By the way, while you're coming in, if you could hit that like button, I would appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. All right, now that I've got my columns the way I want them to be, I'm going to sort by projection, and I'm just going to remove players from my player pool who have no projection here. So anybody with a 0 or lower, I'm just going to remove them from the player pool to save me some time when I'm making groups. Going to try and keep this video short here today, which I've done enough of these videos. I think I can save some of the explanation a little bit. But if you have questions, feel free to DM me on Twitter or reach out below the video. Okay, that looks good. Now I'm going to go into the MVP tab here and set an exposure cap on all players in the MVP tab. I'm going to do 20% for now. I think this is a game where there are at least 5 or so players who have at least a shot at being, probably more than that, a shot at being the optimal MVP on FanDuel. So I think 20% is a good cap here. All right, now I'm going to go to the advanced options, and we'll be working in 2 tabs here, the general tab and then the groups tab. Starting in the general tab, I'm setting up for a 150 set here. So unique players per lineup, I'm going to leave at 1 unique player per lineup. If you are playing fewer than 20, maybe fewer than 40 or 50 lineups, I would probably change this to 2 unique players per lineup just for the sake of diversifying your lineup set. Salary cap, I'm not going to set a minimum. I will set a maximum for the purpose of avoiding the most duplicated lineups. On FanDuel in particular, even more so than DraftKings, sometimes you run into lineups that are duplicated like thousands of times, and those are typically lineups that are using close to or using the entire salary cap allowed. So I like to avoid those lineups by leaving some salary on the table because if I win, which takes a lot of luck, I want to win a lot of money. I don't just want to win, $1,000. So I'm going to set a salary cap here of 58,500, leaving 1,500 on the table. I think that's enough that I'll be avoiding the most duplicated lineups here. Offensive players versus defense, default set to max 2 players. I'm going to change that to 4 players. So I could have 4 players from one team against just the defense of the opposing team. Based on, exposure cap, I'm going to leave at 100%. You already saw I set a cap for the MVP spot in particular, but for the flex spot, I'm going to leave it at 100%. And then randomness, I'm going to set this to 30%. I've been lowering this number just to give myself a little bit more control. So maybe I don't have to crunch quite so many times to get to exposures that I like to of different players. If you want even more control, you could set this a little bit lower than 30%. Minimum projection included in calculation, I'm going to leave that at the default of 3. If there's a player who I want in my player pool who projects for fewer than 3 fantasy points, I will just manually adjust their projection to make sure I get them above 3. And then players from each team max, I'm going to leave that at 4. So again, I can have 4 players from one team against 1 player from the opposing team. All right, now I'm going to go into the groups tab. And I'm going to make groups related to the quarterbacks, which I think are the only real mandatory groups. All right, first I'm going to do a Mac Jones MVP group. And I'm finding Mac Jones here in the MVP spot, going to make him my key player. I'm going to sort by position here. Now you can see fewer players here because I've removed so many players from the player pool by Xing them out. Okay, now I'm going to add all of these Patriots pass catchers to this, to a secondary group. And I'm going to include the running backs. Ramondre Stevenson has been very involved in the passing game. Okay. So with Mac Jones, he does not have a ton of rushing upside. He rushes for fewer than 10 yards per game. I think he has 1 rushing touchdown in his entire career. I think that it would be reasonable to just change this group and say, if any key player used, so that's Mac Jones in the MVP spot, use at least 2 players from this group. I think I'm still going to leave it at just one for now. He does have that one rushing touchdown in his career, and that's one in every 25 games. It's certainly plausible for Mac Jones to be the optimal MVP with just one pass catcher. So I'm going to leave it at one, but then I'm also going to boost his pass catchers to make it more likely that in lineups with Mac Jones at MVP, I'm going to have multiple Patriots pass catchers. A little bit smaller boosts for the running backs. I think I'm actually going to give no boost to Ramondre Stevenson just because he projects so well already. All right, that'll do it for this Mac Jones group. So this, it's going to make it more like I'm going to get at least one Patriots pass catcher, and then I'm more likely to get two because I have Mac Jones there in the MVP spot. Mac Jones flex. So I'm going to do both Mac Jones groups right away. So I'm going to find now Mac Jones in the flex, and I'm going to make him my key player. And then same thing, I'm going to add all these Patriots receivers to the secondary group. I'm wondering if there's a way to just duplicate the previous group. I haven't been able to find it, but I haven't looked all that hard. That would save me some time. I'll have to look again. And now because I have Mac Jones in the flex, I can add Patriots pass catchers in the util as well. And in the util, you don't really have to worry as much about players who don't project all that well on FanDuel because there's no salary multiplier. I think that's probably, I added them anyway. Don't really need to though. Okay, I think that's good enough. All right. And so for this group, I'm just going to require one player from the group. So I'm just going to leave this exactly as is. If I have Mac Jones in the flex, require at least one Patriots pass catcher. Not going to give boosts or anything like that. I'm just going to leave it like this. And then finally, I'm going to create a group for Josh Allen in the MVP. So finding Josh Allen in the MVP spot, make him my key player. I'm going to add these Patriots receivers to a secondary group. Sorry, Bills receivers to a secondary group. And then for Josh Allen, I'm going to click only apply plus minus adjustments because he has so much rushing upside that I don't think you necessarily need to require that he has a pass catcher in the flex. But I'm going to at least give boost to those pass catchers. So I'm more likely to get Bills pass catchers in lineups where I have Josh Allen in the MVP spot. And for now, I'm not going to make a Josh Allen flex group. I'm just going to make this MVP one. I think I'm okay with having some lineups that have Josh Allen in the flex without bringing along any pass catchers just because he has so much rushing upside. All right, I'm going to leave it at that for now. And then I'm going to crunch out 150 lineups using my projections, which are the Stokastic projections. All right, already seeing too many lineups that have Josh Allen with no other pass catchers from the Bills. So I am going to have to make a second group for Josh Allen in the flex. Make him my key player. And then again, add all these Bills pass catchers to a secondary group. All right. In the interest of time, I'm going to cut it off there in terms of who I add. Again, don't need to worry about players who don't project all that well. And then for this one, again, I'm going to say only apply plus minus adjustments. And then I'm going to give a little boost. Smaller boost to the running backs. I was also seeing some Josh Allen MVP without getting to any pass catchers outside the running backs. So I'm just going to lower running backs, maybe give bigger boost to the other pass catchers on the Bills. And then I'll crunch again. Still getting to Josh Allen in the flex without any pass catchers. So I could go back and give bigger boost to those pass catchers. But before I bother doing that, the other thing I do after looking at correlations, I go through position by position and see how much I'm getting of each player. The issue could be I'm just not getting too many of those Bills pass catchers in general. All right, so I'm seeing 17% Mac Jones. Might want a little bit more there. Give him a little bit of a projection boost. I'm also getting to a ton of Josh Allen. Maybe I want less than 94% Josh Allen, so I'm just going to lower that projection a little bit. A lot of Ramondre Stevenson, not getting too much Devin Singletary. Maybe give him a little projection boost. JJ Taylor, already getting a good amount. Looks good. James Cook has had a couple pretty good games recently. I'm going to sort by salary here. So maybe I want some more James Cook. Give him a little boost. Naeem Hines, maybe I want him in my player pool. He's going to be at less than 1% owned on FanDuel. He has not been very involved since joining the Bills, but I think that could change any game. So far, it's looked like that's just their game plan to not use him a ton in the offense, but you never know. Maybe they have plans for him going forward. Maybe Pierre Strong is now a viable play because we've got no Damian Harris. I think JJ Taylor, the more likely to take over and be the RB2 for the Bills, but you never know. For the Patriots. A little bit tired doing this in the morning. All right. Wide receivers. Okay, so this is the issue. This is why I'm not getting to any of these Bills wide receivers. It's because they just don't project well enough point per dollar. So if I want them, and I think that I'm going to want to have some Stephon Diggs, Gabriel Davis, etc., I'm going to actually just give them boost to get them in my player pool. And then I'm also going to be more likely to get them in those Josh Allen lineups if I give them a little boost here. Also, Devontae Parker some. Tyquan Thornton, I think I want in my player pool if he's going to be 2% owned. Kendrick Bourne as well. And Khalil Shakir, I think, is kind of interesting. He didn't have a single target in the last game, but I believe Khalil Shakir played like 40% plus of snaps. We know he's explosive, so I think I want him in the player pool. All right, Dawson Knox also not getting to a ton. A lot of Hunter Henry. Maybe I want some Quentin Morris in the player pool. I don't know. And these kickers, I'm getting a lot. I'm just going to leave them where they are. Going to get less of them naturally because I'm boosting other players, and projections are all relative. Okay, then I'll crunch again and see if these look better. And they do right away. You see, now I have Josh Allen in the MVP spot with multiple pass catchers. I prefer that. Down here, I have Josh Allen with Dawson Knox looks good. Mac Jones with just Ramondre Stevenson and Pierre Strong. I don't love that quite as much. I'd rather have Mac Jones with receivers, but again, I intentionally allowed that because Ramondre Stevenson is very involved in the passing game, so I think that's okay. Mac Jones with multiple receivers. Josh Allen with Quentin Morris. Josh Allen with, I'm getting to a ton of Quentin Morris, aren't I? Or maybe I guess they're just showing up early. Okay. Josh Allen, Quentin Morris, Stephon Diggs, Morris, Jones with multiple. These look like they're correlating better. I think I'm okay with these lineups. These look good. Mac Jones with Hunter Henry and JJ Taylor. You know, it's questionable how much I actually want JJ Taylor in general, but I think that looks okay. Allen with Diggs, Allen with Morris. All right, these correlate better. And then the last thing. So those are the two things I'm looking at: correlation, and then looking at position by position, figuring out how much I want of different players. But again, I'm not going to go through that whole process now. Figuring out how much I want of everybody right now. Just kind of trying to show you my general process, which is looking at correlations and then looking at exposures, how much I want of different players. I'd probably give a boost here to Gabriel Davis for one. I know I'm going to want more than 9% Gabe Davis. Probably want to get Tyquan Thornton up again because of this low projected ownership. I think he's going to be pretty interesting. Honestly, all these guys at the bottom here, the low projections, make me a little bit interested in them. So I think I'm going to give these guys boost, try and get more. But again, not going to go through that whole process now. I just want to give you an idea of how I set up my fantasy cruncher. That's going to do it for this video. Good luck tonight. Hope you can find some success using this or a similar process.